Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share this program so that your friends can know what you're up to this morning. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and make sure to hit the notification button. Also, if you haven't already done so, if you haven't done so lately, how about that? Why don't you visit us at fpcgear.com? That's fpcgear.com. Support civil rights. Because, see, when you go there and you're buying a T-shirt or you're buying a hoodie or you're buying a coffee mug, the latest with the latest and greatest sayings, know that every penny that you spend there will go right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right, moving on to today's topic. You guys are familiar with Throwback Thursday, right? That's where, you post a picture or a video, something like that, reminiscent of your past, kind of showing something in the past that you want people to see again or you want to remind people of. Well, we have one here at the Firearms Policy Coalition, and it has to do with my time working as a lobbyist in the California State Legislature. Now, many of you don't know. You think all I do here is I do this program, but I actually am the lobbyist for the Firearms Policy Coalition in the state of California, Nevada, as well as in Washington, D.C. And, especially in particular here in California, a lot of times, when I'm meeting with members or I'm dealing with members or I'm dealing with legislation, when I'm dealing with the majority party, I'm dealing with people who don't really understand firearms, don't really understand firearm policy, and quite frankly, don't really care to. But this was one particular matter. The gentleman's name is Mr. Mike Gibson, where I wanted to give him an extra opportunity to understand why a bill that he was proposing was so bad. And this was Assembly Bill 1673 back in 2016. His goal and his concern was that he had been speaking with some law enforcement officers who had apprehended individuals who had possession of 80% lowers. And they were concerned because they figured, well, if they had these 80% lowers, they're probably using them to manufacture firearms. So he wanted to make it illegal for them to be able to have them. So his idea was to make it so that anything that was easily convertible to a firearm was his specific language, but basically that these things could then be deemed as firearms or renamed to be firearms, and thus would be illegal for them to own or possess. Now, mind you, he had very little knowledge or understanding of firearms law and what would happen when you actually declared something to be a firearm and the requirements tied to that, and didn't really care. But mind you, I decided that what it was I knew his chief of staff, and he was someone who, I considered a work friend, someone, and I liked the guy, and I wanted to help him protect his member as well as get a bad gun bill, not have to hear it. This was a bill that was staffed by this individual right here. I don't remember his name. He's from Australia, so needless to say, if it's an anti-gun bill coming from an Australian, there you go. Anyway. All that having been said, I met with him as well as the chief of staff, and I explained to them why the bill was bad, and I went through my entire presentation that I was going to be going through should this bill come up in committee. And afterwards, he decided that, well, it doesn't really matter. He wasn't really concerned about my particular presentation. He said, we're just going to go ahead and move forward with the bill anyway. I said, are you sure? Because I really don't want your member to be mad at you because I embarrass him. He said, no, I think we're good. And, a week later, this is what ensued.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Craig DeLuz. I'm here on behalf of the Firearms Policy Coalition in opposition. Quite simply put, AB 1673 defines items as firearms that are not firearms. In fact, the term that is used specifically in here has to do with the term can be readily converted. And I'll give you an example. This here is a block of aluminum. The only thing that separates this from being a firearm and that item over there is a CNC machine and the experience to know how to use it. By definition, it is readily convertible. And I would ask the author, where would you like us to put the serial number? Also, this is an unfinished lower receiver for an AK-47. As you can see, with the exception of some holes and divots, it's not dissimilar from a piece of sheet metal that one would pick up at Lowe's, pick up at Ace Hardware, or would pick up at Home Depot. So I would ask the author, are we going to have stations at every one of these hardware stores and require them to actually serialize this, because this is in fact readily convertible. Finally, I distributed around an example. This is a blog post that I share with each and every one of your staff members. This is an example of an individual who took a shovel and converted it into an AK-47. As you can see, he didn't use sophisticated tools. He simply used the resources that were available to him, thus rendering it readily convertible. I would ask the author once again, where would you like us on the shovel to put the serial number? This bill is grotesquely vague. And I believe that even the language that is being proposed to replace it is additionally vague. In fact, your own consultant said that it is so vague that it might be rendered by the courts void for vagueness. All of that aside, the idea that if someone is going to go and commit a crime, they're going to manufacture a weapon, that they are going to put all of the ugly features that you deem to be assaulty or assault weapon features and put them on the firearm, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to go get a serial number, is in fact ludicrous.
Yes, I love it. I crack up every single time I watch that particular video. And, you know, I didn't even get into everything because, mind you, I only had 2 minutes. I literally had 2 minutes to do my entire presentation. I didn't get into all of the requirements relating to transferring of your block of aluminum to somebody else. I didn't even get into the 10-day waiting period to buy a piece of sheet metal. Nope, did not get into all of that. I didn't get into the lack of ability in order to be able to take a shovel onto school grounds. I didn't get into any of that. Well, needless to say, the individual member, Mr. Gibson, let's just say he devolved into, but it's for the children. So when you guys see me do that, that's where I got it from, because that's exactly what he said. And in the end, the chairman of the committee, Mr. Bill Quirk, who is probably one of the most anti-gun members of the California legislature, said, you know, I don't know what happened, but somebody made a rifle out of a shovel. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to hold this bill in committee, and, you know, you're going to have to rework it, and you're going to have to change the language on this thing, because it's clearly not ready. I mean, and needless to say, Mr. Gibson left the committee hearing room in a huff. It was a good time was had by all. You know, and what's great about, at least for me, what was really fun about this is, you know, we're not like other lobbyists. I'm not like other lobbyists. I'm not, in the traditional sense, I'm not a lobbyist. I'm a lobbyist in the sense that I do go and I do meet with members and I talk to them about policy and try and share with them why their policy is good or why it's bad or what they need to do to change it in order to make it something that, if not good, at least less bad. And that's, you know, kind of what I do. You know, I don't worry about, you know, we don't have a political action committee where we give money to candidates. So the people, we're not bought and paid for. But I'm also not there to be nice to legislators either. I'm there to share with them the information. And sometimes, in particular, when it comes to anti-gun members, the only way in which you get them to listen is to slap them in the face. And that's what I had to do here. And I will tell you right now, there are people who watched that testimony, people who were there. Who have told me, people, I'm talking seasoned lobbyists, who have said that testimony will go down in the Hall of Fame of legislative testimonies in the state of California. I want to thank the folks at 80% Arms once again. They're the ones who gave me my 80% lower, which I took into committee that day. Needless to say, they have not let me back into the building with an 80% lower or with any sheet metal. ever since then because they want to consider those to be firearm parts from now on. Anyway, Mr. Gibson he's not done yet though, right? So this was his first ghost gun bill. Now what he wants to do is he wants to make it so that people have to actually go through background checks in order to purchase firearm parts. Yes, once again, very dumb idea. In particular because he's basing it on the background check system or program for ammunition, which has yet to even be implemented. And we're still all wondering exactly how that's going to work. But needless to say, ignorance is no deterrent with many of these legislators. They're going to do what they're going to do because, well, gosh darn it, guns. Anyway, I hope that was as good for you as it was for me. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys liking and sharing these videos, subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Facebook, and telling everybody you know about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.